Hey everyone, Dr. Dan here, and today we're going to go over two of the most commonly injured tendons when track runners are trying to get ready for the season. First is the patellar tendon. This comes from your quads that are right here that connects together all into one tendon right over the kneecap and attaches right below it. This usually occurs because runners are putting so much impact on their knees, and it's very common to not have good control or form, and that starts to create uneven stresses onto the knee, and so the tendon starts to suffer from it. The second tendon is your Achilles tendon. Now, your calves are actually made up of a few different muscles. Some are right above the knee and some are right below the knee. And then there's one right behind the knee. They come all together to one tendon that attaches right at the top of your heel bone, and it connects the fascia underneath there. And so your Achilles tendon is also the other commonly injured tendon, because what happens is that when you have poor ankle control, it starts to place stresses onto the tendon in ways that's not aligned with the way it's structured. And so when they're running and putting miles on it or working sprints on it, that's when the tendon starts to either hurt or simply you're just out of shape, and you got to be able to work on that. So let's go over a couple exercises that addresses both those tendons. The first exercise for your patellar tendon is this Spanish squat. You get a really nice thick band, I wouldn't use a small one, both looped around on an object where you know it's not going to move, like a squat rack. Get your legs between each loop right behind the knee. What you want to do is get set up and then simply lean back and hold, almost like a reverse wall sit. Now the beauty of this exercise is that it isolates the patellar tendon right where it helps build the capacity to improve its loading capacity. What I mean by that is tendons work like a rope. They're not like your muscles that have a lot of blood supply. It works off of loading, just like a rope does. But like any rope, that if it doesn't have good load capacity, that rope can start to fray, or in our body's case, it starts to create inflammation in the knee, which then limits the runner being able to train. So a Spanish squat is great because you are isolating that tendon to load progressively or isometrically. I would do this for about 5 sets of 40 to 45 seconds, come off of that, rest for about the same amount of time, 40-45 seconds, and then go right into it again. If you don't have a band or have access to one, a wall sit would be just as sufficient. The only thing is that I wouldn't necessarily start right at 90 degrees because that can be a lot to start with. What I would start with is about 45 degrees, making sure you're pushing into the wall, making sure you're isolating right at the knee. Pain shouldn't really be present. Now, if it is, it shouldn't be more than about 3 to 4 out of 10. Remember, 10 out of 10 pain, it's like you have to go to the hospital. So about a 3 is a mild discomfort, but it's tolerable to be able to finish and not have to cut your exercise into it. Same sets and reps, about 5 sets of 40 to 45 second holds, and your rest time should be about the same. Part of getting the Achilles tendon is also addressing the ankle stability part. Let me show you a very simple way you can address this stability with using a band just like this one. You want to get your foot right into the band, hold on to it. What you're going to do then is simply step onto that, just like so, cross the ankle onto the knee. Once you have that band set, get some good tension on there, and you're going to go up and down. What this is doing is addressing a lot of the posterior tibial muscle group that actually supports the arch, which in turn supports the whole ankle, foot, and ankle. That also having this more under control really takes the stress out of the Achilles tendon. Now this is what we call inversion. Resisted inversion is what you want to go through, and a set of 15 should be sufficient. Once you get done with this, have that band still set up this way, but have it out a little bit, and then from there, you're going to pull up. Now these dorsiflexors, or these muscles, are very important, especially for your long distance runners. If they're doing a lot of heel-toe type of running gait, that's fine, but what ends up happening is you're using these muscles eccentrically, having to control that drop. That really affects the foot and ankle mechanics. Once you get done with that dorsiflexion, doing about 15, same stay in the same position, now simply turn out. That's all you're gonna do. Now the compensation is that people tend to turn the whole leg around. That's not really gonna be helpful. What you wanna do is really isolate right at the ankle, turning out and slow on the end. These perineal muscles, or fibular muscles right here on the side, loops down to the side and connects between the close to your tibia muscles together and slings up the arch. Getting all of those under control is a really good ounce of prevention that prevents a pound of injury you're going to have down the season when your miles keep coming up. The other Achilles tendon exercise you can really capitalize on is a single leg heel raise. Now when you do this, really work on the negative or the descend, not the ascend. Now when you do this, you can do this with both legs, especially if you have some symptoms going on, going all the way up, slowing it down. Most times, this isn't usually enough, but if you're in pain, this is a good start. When you're ready for it, get onto one leg, let the heel come down for about at least 6 seconds. I know it's painfully slow, but the benefit is that you're putting more time under tension because that's what ends up happening when you run, sprinting, mid-distance or long. Going all the way up, slow on the down. You don't want to necessarily pump this out. It's nice to feel a burn, but you're not giving the tendon enough time to get enough pressure to stimulate the change you need to have in order to have the control and the strength to be able to run. So again, one leg going down slow for at least about 6 seconds. When you're doing this, about 15 is usually about a good enough number. 2 sets of 15 is sufficient to get the right amount of work you need for that Achilles tendon. There you have it, 2 of the most common tendons that really bother runners, especially when they go through their season. Now, what I would go through all these exercises, do it daily. Doing isometrics inherently will not make you so sore that you can't carry on the next day. Strengthening is a whole nother piece, but when you do these tissue specific exercises, that'll be just fine. Now, if you liked everything you saw or you had any questions, drop a comment below or like and subscribe to the channel.